All right, grade 9s, Mr. Orr and myself have decided to do some math and science together. So these are your 3 science formulas that you'll see. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the correct process to rearranging these formulas in the correct mathematical way. So in this equation, if I wanted to solve for r, it's set up, you have v divided by I. But if I wanted to solve for my v, and that was my unknown, then I would need to rearrange that. So I'm going to move the I variable. And so in order to move the I variable, what we do is, because it's dividing, we do the opposite. So I would multiply by I. And when you multiply on one side of an equation, we need to make sure the equations stay equal. So we multiply the I on the other side. That way they're balanced or they're equal. When you have an I over an I, those allow those to cancel because they equal 1. And so now you just have 1 times v, which is just v. And so your new equation will be v equals r times I. And so now you can solve for your v, you can put in your r, you can put in your I, and you'll have that. The one that's a little bit trickier is when you are trying to solve for the I. So if your I is ever your unknown, we've talked about this in math, the variable on the denominator spot doesn't like being under there. It's kind of uncomfortable. And so we want to move that variable first, just like we did in this previous step. So we're going to actually multiply by I, again, to keep the equations balanced. Those cancel. And now I have I times r equals v. That's a good first step. Now I, you'll notice, is not a denominator anymore. And now what we're going to do is move the r so that I will be by itself. So we can divide by r because they're multiplying. Divide by r to keep it balanced. These will cancel because it's equal to 1, not 0. And I equals v divided by r. And again, now you can solve for your I by substituting in your values for v and your values for r. So that's the first equation. The second 2 equations are the same. They are both set up where you're finding something and you're multiplying 2 variables together. And so when you're solving these, they'll be the same process as each other. So if we don't know what p is, if that's our unknown, then we want to move the t value over to the other side. And so because they're multiplying, we will divide. And you do 1 to one side, you make sure you do it to the other side so that your equations are balanced. Your t's now cross out because they equal 1, and you have p equals e divided by t. Again, you can put in your value for energy, you can put in your value for t, and you can figure out what they are by dividing. And so then if you're trying to find your unknown, which is your t value, you would do the same type of step. You're going to divide by p on both sides. Those p's will cancel out. You're now left with t equals e over p. And so again, you can solve for t using that. This equation, like I mentioned, is the exact same. So what you can try to do on your own is try to set up, okay, how would I correctly go through to find out what to do to solve for I? And what would I do correctly to find out what my formula would be to solve for v? Hey, hope that helps. If you have any questions, let us know.